For over 26 years, Josh Wunsch served the farmers of Michigan and Northwest Michigan as the District 9 Director on the Farm Bureau Board. For many of those years, Josh served as the Vice President of Michigan Farm Bureau. In that role, Josh guided our organization through the policy development process. Josh had an encyclopedic knowledge of so many ag policy issues, whether it was NAFTA to DACA, immigration to food safety. Josh saw policy development through a completely different lens. He always tried to look at the issue and think 2 steps ahead of the process. Josh made us think. He pushed the organization in different directions, and he really helped Michigan agriculture get through some difficult times.
Josh's role in agriculture was very big because he was he was that guy at any meeting or expo that would ask the hard questions. He was very into pushing buttons, not purposely, but he's that guy that was not afraid to ask that question that was everybody's mind and would continue to question you. Even when he asked a specific question and you started answering, he would want every detail.
The way that he ran his farm sort of mirrors the leadership he took on in the greater industry. And he really had, his priorities were always in the long term. He is just like on the farm, he was always thinking about what to plant next and envisioning a future for this land well beyond his lifetime. My dad definitely played an important role in promoting agriculture in our region. And a big part of that was his focus on collaboration.
He really valued leadership, and during most of the time that I spent with him, he valued developing leadership in others. He was a great mentor to the 3 of us, his kids, and to a lot of other people in the industry.
So he was one of those original leaders, especially on the Old Mission Peninsula. So he was kind of the go-to guy. He was the main leader. He also helped a lot of those smaller farmers. He custom harvested. He provided the space for our integrated pest management updates. So our IPM updates were held at the Wunsch farm in the packing shed every week for 14 years that I had been around. We have, a limited number of folks to look to, and I think that Josh was one of those leaders in the cherry industry. And in apples, I think Josh was one of the first growers to really take on higher density systems, more modern systems. He was one of the first ones to put in a packing line. He and Isaiah really had this brainchild of taking super high quality Honeycrisp from northern Michigan and selling them to high-end markets downstate. And so I think, again, that innovation, and he led by leadership and he led by demonstration. And so he wasn't a guy just to talk all the time. He actually did what he said he was going to do. And so I think people followed him because he's, led that or blazed that path for apples and cherries.
My dad was a true leader in this industry and a role model for a lot of us. He was very generous with his time and his knowledge, and he was always willing to share any little bits of that wisdom on to the next generation. While for a guy who always had something to say, he was also an incredibly good listener and observer, and he was always keeping an eye on who was next up, who was in the room, who had some potential and had something to contribute.
He always said that growing fruit was his career, his profession, and that growing people was his biggest passion.